Welcome to the Big Blue Radio Show, coming to you on Tulsa Community College's online radio station, The Grid, and on the Creativity Channel. I'm Lee Goodson, president of Tulsa Community College.
And I'm Greg Stone, provost of TCC's Metro Campus. Our guests today are Bill and Harriet Derrevere, longtime TCC visual art faculty who have inspired students and the community alike by their teaching and their own artistic productions. Today we'll ask what inspires them as artists and creators, and about what Tulsans should know about our own thriving arts community.
Professors Bill and Harriet Derrevere join us today on the Big Blue Radio Show. Well, we're excited to be here today with Bill and Harriet Derrevere. Both retiring this year, one of our full-time art faculty members and one of our adjunct faculty members. And between the two of you, there's decades and decades and decades. Just one of you would provide decades of experience teaching art here at Tulsa Community College, but then you talk about what you've both contributed, and it's really phenomenal in terms of where we've come to here at Tulsa Community College in terms of what we can do for students and the facilities that we have to teach. So first I want to say thank you for your service and for what you've done for so many students across the years.
It's been a great time.
Good.
We've had a wonderful time.
So you're both artists, and talk to us a little bit about at what point in your life did you know that you wanted to be a professional artist, or did you become interested in art, and kind of how that trajectory continued through your life until you became a full-time artist?
Well, I've always known that I've always enjoyed art, and my dad used to bring home giant boxes of paper from his lab that was pre-shredding days. And I could have as much paper to draw on as I wanted to. But in school, my dad always wanted me to take sciences. He thought women should know that. And so I had private lessons, but I didn't have but one art class in high school. But he said when I started college, I could take whatever I wanted. So also that I would be more marketable, something that I could get a job doing. He had me take commercial art, and then when I graduated from TU, I got a job at Philbrook. I wanted to have hands-on art. I wasn't thinking of teaching at that time, and I was assistant to the director, and then Bill and I dated and got married and went to graduate school in Illinois at that time. When I came back, I worked at Philbrook a little bit, but Bill by then had been hired at TJC and thought I should come downtown to teach drawing. So
and the rest is a long history. Bill, how about you? When did you know that
about age 16, I grew up in New Jersey, and I had the opportunity to go to Philmont Scout Ranch for 2 summers. And the first summer I was there, I was a dishwasher and worked in the kitchen. But I met a guy that made jewelry, and I spent evenings with him just looking over his shoulder for a whole summer. And I did some leather work. And so the second summer, I went back, made my very first piece of jewelry ever, and man, that started it, and it's never been changing ever since. So that's where it started, and probably that's why we still love going out there, because of that connection and where it all evolved for me.
I guess we should say, as you mentioned, that you do a lot of metalwork and jewelry and some leather work, and Harriet, you're primarily a painter, and watercolor is your primary medium, is that right?
Yes, I started out drawing, but that pastels and watercolors, pretty much what I love to do.
So whose work has inspired your own work, or your own artistic sensibility, what artists have you looked to throughout your life that you draw inspiration from?
I would say, well, as inspiring my work early on, Albrecht Dürer, when I started having art history classes, he was a Renaissance artist that was one of the first to do close-up nature, and that's kind of my favorite subject matter. And then Lowell Nesbitt, who is a contemporary printmaker and painter. This was early in my painting days, but he did close-ups of flowers and plants, real huge close-ups. Like George O'Keeffe, so she was probably in there too. And then at TU, Alexander Hogue, who was head of the department and globally known, and his brushwork and his manner of teaching drawing and using the brush was really important for me.
I was Mr. Hogue's last grad assistant, and before he retired, and he used to scare me to death. And so by the end of grad school, he and I were probably on the road to becoming acquaintances. I wouldn't say that I was a friend of his, but I'd say we were leaning into acquaintance. And he just had a work ethic, and that sort of German work ethic, and he expected a lot of you, and he insisted on, quality. And I really never ever wanted to embarrass myself in front of him, to this day. And then also at TU, a man named Tom Manhart was the ceramicist there. And I knew him when I took a class from him at Philbrook in jewelry when I was in high school. And he had this craftsman-like attitude that to this day, and at one time he said, "Enough's enough, would you please, don't keep thanking me." I said, "I have to keep thanking you because you gave me something that I will use for the rest of my life. So if I compliment you, I just have to, because of that honor that I think you should have and you deserve." So every time I'm working on things, I always think, would he or his wife, Marcia Manhart, be pleased? Would they be proud of this, even though it's not clay, but the same principles? Mm-hmm. So those two people are my two that I really look to and guidance,
So I see you've brought some items today, and it looks to be items from your studio. What would you say is the most valuable tool or item you have in your studio to present your art with?
This hammer, and I got this in graduate school, and I use it all the time. And so it's 40 some years I've been using this hammer. And I polish the face, I make sure you can see your face in it. And then, so this is my left hand, and I go together. Then I started looking at cobbler's hammers years ago, and I wondered, how did they get those faces on the cobbler's hammer? And I didn't know why, but I thought, if I put a face on this hammer, I can transfer it to this soft metal, being pewter. So I made one time and tried it. So this hammer and these patterns go together. So after I make this form, then there's a seam down the side, so this is where this one comes in. So I hammer it so you can't see it, and then I start adding the surfaces with this. Then I crush it and shape it, and then the Tom Manhart thing comes in with the lip. So the lip is, does it work? And I'm looking at it, sitting down, standing up. Does every little edge work? Is there, Is there something awkward that he would have pointed out in 1 second? And so that's where I have to make sure that he's happy, you know.
Harriet, what about you? What's your indispensable tool
Well,
in the studio?
Yours isn't quite as large.
actually, I first thought of lighting because my studio is
Sure.
somewhat dark, and if I didn't have my special lamps, I wouldn't be able to see. But this is a brush that I've had probably 35 years, a Winsor Newton Series 7, designed for the Queen of England.
Wow.
Because it has a really Kolinsky sable, has a nice sharp point and holds paint for them.
And I think people who haven't studied art don't understand that it's not just a brush, it's not just a hammer, but there's something about that tool and the way that you use it that allows you to have not just ownership of something, but a relationship with something for decades, as you both have said, and that's so important to artists, right? Are you able to get that idea across to students, or do they at some point think, oh yeah, whatever, and then just down the road they realize the significance of it?
It's more the money thing with students, probably. They need to, you know, they don't have big budgets, and they need a good tool that won't fall apart, but
But they may not have the cash to get the premium tool.
I think when we were in school that there was just one set of supplies. They were expensive, and that's what you had to get.
Yes.
But they've lasted, you know, lasted a long time.
I think with my jewelry students, as they get involved, I know from the past, some of the older ladies, you know, the husband would say, what would you like for Christmas? I'm going shopping, and they'd say, I have all the things marked in the catalog that I want, and it's a tool company, and I don't want any perfume, I don't want anything, clothes, I don't want furs, I don't want any of that jewelry, I don't want any of that. I want tools, and here's what I want. And so they've added to their tools, and now, well, there's a handful that finally set up their shop, they feel comfortable, they now are not here, they've gone away, but they check in, they'll come just sort of pop in and I got a question or something, but they have a torch now, which was the scariest part for them, and they've got other tools for building and soldering and doing the whole process. So that's when they start buying, like, what would you buy? And then I'll say, this is, if I'm buying it, I'm buying this one. Don't buy anything else. Save your money until you can get this one. And you'll only have to buy it one time.
Well, I wish we had more time, because I have so many questions I would love to ask both of you, but I guess before we get to the big question that we ask all of our guests, let me just ask you both, you know, and it's no surprise to those of us who come from the liberal arts or the visual arts, but a lot of companies nowadays are looking for skill sets that liberal arts students have that maybe they haven't recognized or appreciated before. What would you say to someone who owns a business about why they should hire students with an art background? What can they count on artists and students bringing to even a corporate environment?
Coming up with solutions to problems, having the patience to complete a project that takes a long time, craftsmanship.
Multitasking, critical thinking, recognizing that you have a deadline and you have to meet the deadline, and there's no excuse for why you didn't meet the deadline. In business, nobody cares, you know, and discipline. You have a discipline.
Making lots of decisions, because when you're doing a piece of artwork, there's just where to place the shape, where to place what color, all these different things. You have to just make lots of decisions. And
there's a lot of critical thinking involved that I know
Lots
companies really are recognizing now, thankfully, that, yeah, there's a good reason to hire art students and other liberal arts students.
Totally, I agree.
So this is the Big Blue Radio Show, and we have the big question at the end of the Big Blue Radio Show. If you were to give your 18-year-old self a piece of advice, what would it be? Harriet, you want to start?
I would say reading as much as you can. I always enjoyed reading, but I don't think I read enough. I was used to just reading what was necessary in high school, and it was pretty easy for me. And then when I got to college, all of a sudden they were covering a lot more material, and the students who read more than what was required or extra things that were required, then they just knew so much more about the subject.
Bill, how about you? What's your advice?
My advice is, and this I wish I had told myself when I was 18, but now I can tell somebody else, stay focused, and because it was suggested that I might leave for a while and then come back when I thought I might want to be a student. So then when I left, and then I did come back, and I had to see the dean to explain, yes, I'm ready now, sir. And then I didn't look from side to side. I knew where I was going, and I channeled in and off I went. But I wish that I had not lost that year that he suggested I take, and then maybe figure out some things, and then come back and say. So that would be my advice. If you can just stay focused and don't get involved with other things, and you'll save yourself a lot of time.
Absolutely.
Good advice.
Well, speaking of time, I wish we had more,
Thank you.
but that is all the time we have for today. But we do want to thank our guests, Bill and Harriet Derrevere, for taking time to be with us. We really appreciate it.
Thank you
Thank
for
you
having
for
us.
asking us.
Of course. And thank you for being here too. Remember, you can find us every week online at The Grid, tulsacc.edu/thegrid, and on the Creativity channel. We'll see you next time.